Good morning, everybody. My name's Ian. I'm the president of Brisbane West Chamber of Commerce. Welcome. This is our second digital event. The first one wasn't very successful, so we obviously can only get better. That's why we've got the same speaker. So all going better. Thanks very much to the Australia-Israel Chamber of Commerce, Office of the Queensland Chief Entrepreneur, the Toowoomba Chamber of Commerce, Regional Development Australia Brisbane, and the Small Business Expos for partnering with this event. Today I don't have to tell you where the bathrooms are. I don't have to pay my respects to the Indigenous owners of the land. But today we will be talking about navigating catastrophes and driving change for accountants and other professional services with the awesome Mr. Rob Nixon. It has been a bit of a long conversation mixed with coronavirus, economic disasters, but we're finally here and I'm really excited to see Rob. I'm just going to hand you over to Simon White, who is the CEO of the Australia-Israel Chamber of Commerce, to say a few words. And then we'll be over to Rob for what I expect will be a great show. So over to you, Simon, please. Sarah.
Yes, thanks, Ian. Welcome, everybody. Great to see that there's some familiar and less familiar people online today. Look, I wanted to say, this is presenting a challenge for everybody, our COVID-19 friend, but at the same time as presenting a challenge, it's presenting opportunity for us to be involved in change and to change the way we do work and how we deliver content and things to you from the AICC's point of view, and probably a lot of the business associations around Australia. It's a lot of our core business activities have had to change dramatically. Of course, trade missions are non-existent, but certainly these sorts of events can be as rewarding. We may not have a glass of wine in our hand unless you're lucky enough to have your camera off. And we may not be standing in the same room, networking away and seeing Rob in person, and that might be what we're used to. But look, we're still here. We can still have the same conversation, download from Rob the same content, maybe throw a few quirky bits in and out that we normally wouldn't do because we've got an online opportunity. So I think it's fantastic. I think, today's topic, Rob, surviving current economic challenges, they're probably a little bit different than they were when we first talked about this event a couple of months ago. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to get a download from you and to see how much of your traditional content might have changed given the fact that we're sitting in a COVID-19 world at the moment. And like a lot of people, I'm reaching out to business leaders and industry leaders and people that are challenged by this. I urge you to do the same. I had a call from somebody that I hadn't spoken to for 3 years this morning out of the blue, who just said something on LinkedIn I read that you put up. Thought I'd give you a call and see how you're going. And I think this is an opportunity for us to do that and to help each other understand and share some of the ways we can overcome this challenge. So without further ado, hand it over to you, Rob, and let's get on with the content. So thanks very much, everybody, and please enjoy.
Alrighty, thank you, Simon. Thank you, everybody. Great to be here. I am coming to you from my clubhouse in Samford. So I believe most of you are from Brisbane, but normally I would be either in person, which the guys were talking about, which is a little bit difficult, but I work a lot in the USA as well. So I live at the foothills of Mount Nebo, Mount Glorious. Got a wee golf course out the front here, clubhouse in the background, as you can see. I want to know where you're from. We're going to interact over the next hour. Down the bottom in the toolbar, it says chat. So I want you to type in where you're from, location, rather than just Queensland or Brisbane. Brisbane, you're a bit more specific, Brett, if you could, please. Cinnamon Park, Annerley, Valley, cool. I used to have an office in James Street, Mark. Mile Plains, Brookville, Strathpine. We sent the kids to St. Paul's in Strathpine. Nudgee. Used to be along a Nudgee Golf Club at one stage. There you go, cool. Brookfield, Wavell Heights. Used to live in Wavell Heights, Mike. There you go, a long time ago. Ashgrove, The Gap, Sunshine Coast, Caboolture, Ascot, Moggle, Day Road. We are from all over. Looks like all over southeast Queensland, which is pretty cool. So team, wherever you come from, welcome. Normally my audience are 100% are accountants, right? So with, and I'll get you to share my screen if you can, Sarah. Give me the controls so I can share my screen, please. Normally they're 100% accountants. So for the last 26 years, I've worked with accounting firms with those 18 countries. I've trained 185,000 accountants, coached over 500 accounting firms, helped them, those 500 accounting firms I've actually coached, added just over $900 million in profit to them. And I've often thought that my content and methodology would apply to any professional services firm, which I think it does, but I've just decided to stick to accountants. Along the way, wrote 3 books, fourth one's just out. First one was called Accounting Practices Don't Add Up in 2011. Next one was called Remaining Relevant, The Future of the Accounting Profession, that came out in 2015. This one called The Perfect Firm, big thick book this one was. Went #1 all around the world, which is pretty cool. That was a 400-page, playbook, if you will. And book number 4 literally was just launched last week on Amazon. And that one is called The Wealthy Accountant. Now, I don't know whether it'll go #1 around the world. I've got no idea. But if you'd like a free copy, go to robnixon.com/wealthy and we'll get you a free copy of that. Now, with this content, I'm talking in the context of accountants and or professional services firms, right? But I've also had over the years a bunch of other industry types pick up on my methodology and content and apply it to them. So hopefully in our time together today, that I'm going to give you enough that you actually get some ideas for your business if you're not a professional services firm. I see James Howland's on the line, which is cool. I know James, right? He is an accounting firm. And just think a bit broadly as to what I'm going to take you through. Now, first thing I want to talk about is actionable results as a result of implementing, right? So with the firms I've coached, I want to talk about something pretty quickly here. So first of all, the average revenue of an accounting firm I coach is about $1.5 million in revenue, average profit just over 400,000, and working in hours per partner at 1,314. That is before I start helping them. Now, on the last point, the working in bit, I'm going to come back to that in a tick. When you implement, what I've found is that the average revenue improvement is about 21% in year 1, but profitability improvement 98.4%. Some we get triple profit, some 30-40%, average 98.4%, and then partner in time at 20.1%. And the in time is what I want to focus on first up, right? See, in business, we've got a choice to either work on the business or, right, in the business. Take your pick. Today, we're going to spend some time working on this business of yours. We're going to work on this business, and I want you to start with an equation. I'm not an accountant, by the way. My clients have been accountants for 26 years, but I'm not an accountant. I left school at 16, actually, but I've learned to love accounting firms and work out actually how they work. So I want us to start with an equation that applies to any business, and this equation I call the profit time index, right? Because you'll see why this is important in a moment. So the profit time index is a direct measure of how much time you spend working in your business vis-a-vis the profit that you make, right? And so this applies to any business at all. Here's the equation, and I want you to work this out, right? So you take profit before owner's salaries, so total profit, 2, 3, 400,000, $2 million, whatever it is, divided by total in hours by the owners. So in time, defined as client work, charged or not charged, administrative work, management of the business, human resources, IT, etc., things to do what the business does, versus on time, growing and developing the business. So business development, product development, leadership, tasks that drive leverage. So if you can quickly work that out, so if you just think about your week, right? So how much time do you spend? And Michael Gerber, by the way, coined the phrase working on versus working in 1986 in a seminal book called The E-Myth, right? And the theory is, and it still stands today, the more time you spend working on your business, less time working in, the better business that you will have. Instead of being on the tools all day, we're growing and developing the business all day, right? So if you come up with that number, whatever that number is, I don't want you to post it, right? Because that's a private number just to you in the chat. The chat I'm going to save for questions coming up. But just think about that number and where it is. So for example, let's say you make a profit of $300,000 and you spend 1,000 hours working in, well, that would be $300 is the number, all right? If you make a profit of $600,000 and you spend 2,000 hours working in, well, that's still $300, right? So the objective here is to grow this number. And here's a little gradient scale for you to start thinking about your number and what it means. First of all, if you're naught to $250, you're basically overworked and underpaid, right? You're working your buns off as owners and you're not getting paid that much, right? If you're between 250 and 500, you start to make a little bit of money, but you're still working too much. Gets a bit interesting at the pink level here, $500 to $1,500. You might be making some money, but what about the time? Right? So the money may be okay. You might be making $500,000, for example, but you're still working 1,000, 2,000 hours, working in the business versus working on the business. 4 and 5 are super interesting, right? 1,000 to 1,500, leverage is typically kicked in, and it's going great. And 1,500 to 2,500, sometimes comfort kicks in here. My premise to accounting firms that I coach is that I want to help you make $1 million profit per owner while working less than 500 hours, 500 client hours, 500 in hours. So that would indicate that the profit time index is 2,000, right? 500 hours, $1 million. So around this blue and green area here, right? So, but what happens here is often comfort kicks in and we don't keep pushing through. So I challenge the firms that I work with when I get them to that level, right? Let's double it from here without doubling the time. Let's double, because you can grow, a professional services firm pretty quickly by just having the owners do more chargeable work. They've got the highest hourly rate, they're the most experienced, right? But if you think about running a business, not a practice, accounting practices, the first book, as I said, accounting practices don't add up. Team, it's time to stop practicing. You've been doing that for long enough. You should be good at that thing by now. We've got a business to run here and a business that's thriving and not so reliant on the owners of the business. One of my accounting firms in Kentucky, awesome firm called Mackey Advisors. Mackey is the owner. She runs a very successful business. She's in this red area here at about $6,500. She's a case study firm of mine. She only literally works 60 hours a year. 1 hour a week, 1 bit hours a week. That's all she does in the entire business for working in. It's a management meeting. That's it. But she makes a ton of money, right? She makes a ton of money, but the business works without her. That's the objective. The most successful accounting firm I've ever coached is at 10,000, corporate structure in place. And this particular firm, one owner, right, makes about $6-7 million in revenue, spends about 600 hours a year in the business. So your objective here, team, is to number one, know what the number is, right? It's a new number for most of you, the profit time index, but then work out what are we going to do to drive it? What are we going to do to grow it, right? And yes, we're in interesting times, for sure, right? And yes, many of you have been scrambling with client demands and survival, but you still need to put a lot of working in time the last couple of months, right? A lot of working in time, but we still need to drive it forward. So what I want to take you through is one slide with lots of conversations on how we drive that number up, right? Because ultimately, the objective is we want less time in the business, more profitability. That is the ultimate outcome number, I think, right? Not just profit number, not just cash, but what about the business owners? What are you doing? How are you spending your time? So I want to present to you what I call my profit time program, right? And we're going to have Q&A all the way through this. The objective of doing this is meaning, freedom, and lifestyle. More meaning for you, more freedom for you, and about lifestyle. You're the business owner. I'm making an assumption, by the way, that you are the business owner online here. So you're the business owner. You're taking all the risk. then it should be all about you, right? By the way, I have a belief that clients come last. You come first, right? You first, team second, clients last. You're taking all the risk. It's your business, no one else's, right? Why do you let clients push you around? Why do you let team members push you around? Why do you come to their demands? They haven't got their signature. It's not their mortgage on the line. It's not their credit card on the line. They're the ones that don't get sued. You're the last one standing. So let's make this business about you. Let's redesign it your way, right? Business by design, not business by default. So ultimately, it's your freedom, your lifestyle, the meaning for you. Now, what we track are some numbers to see how we're going with all this, tracking average hourly rate, the yield per hour that you get out of the business, efficiency, number of clients, average fee per client. We're also tracking revenue, profit, cash, and ultimately profit time index. Now, based on your speed of implementation and effectiveness, by the way, this is covered, this is like an overview, I only got an hour today. This is covered in depth in the book that you can get for free. There's no, literally, it's free, right? Free download. So based on your speed and effectiveness implementation will determine how quickly you get the results that you want. So I find there's 4 things, right? There's 4 areas to work on. Number 1, we have to fix what's going on today. Number 2, minimize time dramatically to get more efficient, get capacity. Number 3, to scale the business to whatever size you want. And number 4, to lead it through whatever happens, like what's happening today. So within each of these 4 quadrants, I have 8 key implementation strategies. So what I'm going to do, and I want you to get your questions ready, is I'll talk for a bit on each one. On the first one. Then we'll do some Q&A. So the Q&A in the chat, anything goes, right? More detail. And then I'll go to the next one, Q&A, more detail, blah, blah, until we finish, right? And we have got a hard finish at 1/2 the hour, even about 25 past. So we've got plenty of time to go through this. So let's have a look at fixing day to day. And by the way, this is on the context again of a professional services firm, specifically accounting firms that I've worked with for many, many years. Number 1, it's number 1 for a reason, is upfront pricing. Many of you already do this, but some of you don't. And that is notifying the client in advance how much the price is going to be. Particularly in professional services, and lawyers are the worst at this, right? They're the worst. I don't mean giving an hourly rate breakup, the price depends who does the work and what the hourly rate is. No, what's the price? And I don't mean a range. Well, it could be between $5,000 and $8,000, right? I mean, what is the fixed price? Just so I can go to get our car serviced, we have a fixed price for the actual service. And most of you don't charge enough for what you do. What is the right price? The right price is just before no. Now, I want you to ponder that. If they're saying yes too fast, then the price is wrong. The only right price is what the customer, the consumer, is prepared to pay for it. So how do you know what the right price is? You keep testing and measuring and pushing until you get lots of no's. Then you dial it back a bit. Most of you are undercharging for what you do, guaranteed. Pricing up front and with an increase, right? Value pricing. Charging based on the value contribution to your client's condition. In professional services, you are not selling a commodity, right? You have no competitors because no one is you. You are the unique individual with your unique knowledge. We don't sell time. You don't sell things. You don't sell bottles of water. You don't sell commodity. You're selling solutions. You're selling intellectual property. You're an intellectual property purveyor, right? That's what you sell. And some of you are helping your clients to make money, save money, alleviate cash. But how do you charge for that? How do you charge for, if you're an accountant, for example, you redid their affairs and they got a $160,000 tax refund. But it only took me an hour. Yeah, but it took you 25 years to work out how to do it in an hour. Or it took you lots of investment in technology to do it in an hour. We need a value price. Here's an interesting one with recurring revenue. One of the first things I get my accounting firms to do that I coach is to change their known revenue for the year to recurring revenue. Instead of project revenue, monthly recurring revenue, monthly fixed fee. So if you've got a client that you know their entities, you know what's going to happen, you're doing the same thing every single year, essentially, then divide it by 12, come up with a number, divide by 12, and make it a fixed fee. You know, I just got off a Zoom call with a buddy in Sydney, and his client charges $875 a month, right? He's an accountant, sorry, he's an accountant. He's a business owner. And he said, I don't know if they're doing the work or not, but let me assure you that accounting firm's cash flow is secure. The accounting firms I've discovered in the last 4 weeks that are in trouble are the ones that have minimal recurring revenue. They've still got work to do, but the clients have either not paid them, or alternatively, the clients don't want the work done. Moving to recurring revenue packaging. Scope creep and scope seep. Managing, right? Use the analogy of the servicing, the car servicing, where you take a car in for a service, by 10:30 in the morning, they've given you a call. So by the way, Rob, you know, the brakes need doing as well. And that'll be an extra $400 or whatever the price is, right? And so sure, if you've got a fixed fee with your client, you've got to manage scope creep and scope seep. Scope creep is where the client gets you to do more and you just do it. Scope seep is where you just do it anyway without even notifying the client, right? We have to have, with our fixed pricing, we have to have a scope of works that we work towards, and the outside of scope is discussed separately. Lockup reduction. We're talking about fixing day to day. Lockup, work in progress, unbilled or incomplete, accounts receivable, not collected. You move to recurring revenue packaging and you have zero work in progress and negative debtors. Zero work in, because it's on your balance, it's off your balance sheet, right? You're getting paid before you get things done. We want to minimize the lockup of incomplete, unbilled work and not collected cash. Client mix. If you live in a world of scarcity, then you will have a whole range of clients. A, B, C, D, and Z clients. If you live in a world of abundance, you'll only have A-class clients, right? You'll pick and choose your clients. You'll say, no, well, why do you have to do business with everyone? You know, why don't you design your ideal A-class client and just work with them? Because there's tons of them out there. Here we are, some of you, this is the first time in the last month or so, you've used technology like Zoom rather than a face-to-face environment. You're doing Zoom team meetings or the equivalent on GoToWebinar or WebEx or Microsoft Teams, whatever product you use. You're doing team meetings like that. You're doing client meetings like that, customer meetings, maybe sales meetings. I've done over 400 sales meetings the last 2 years, all on Zoom. So if that's the case, why do you have to be local anymore? You can be wherever you want to be. With an abundance mentality, all A-class clients. We're going to weed out the ones that are not the ones you want. Client service program. What is your customer service program to get raving fans, right? Do you just react and it all happens? Or do you have a structured customer service program? And what is your communication cadence? What's your communication process with your clients? Structured comms. You know, what I've found the last 4 weeks, I'm on a lot of accountants' mailing lists, the level of communication is off the rails, right? Stimulus package this and job keeper that and job seeker that, right? Webinars, off the rails client communication. But hang on a minute. Why did it take a crisis for all those accountants to all of a sudden start communicating with prospects and clients? They're running webinars and all sorts. Shouldn't you be doing that all year round? I find that a crisis is a great time to weed out the weak, right? Weak businesses. I find that the best run professional services firms have a structure of communication regardless of getting any money from the client, right? Often, communication follows fees. You pay me a lot of money, I'll talk to you more, I'll meet with you more, right? How about you switch it around? How about you go, fees follow communication? How about I communicate with you in advance? I run webinars, I run seminars, I run, you know, proactive phone calls, meetings, etc., and then fees follow. Fixing day to day. Let's have some questions around that piece. If you've got some, pop in a question and we'll go a bit deeper. on all of those if you want, and then we'll get to the minimize, which is getting more efficient. Questions. I can't see any of you. I can just see the question box. So just make it question for everyone, by the way, not privately. I see Eleanor has sent me a question. Will the presentation be available? I'm not too sure. I presume it will be, Eleanor. All right. Got a good CRM to recommend, Martin. Wow, okay, let's talk about that. I've got a buddy who owns one of those companies in Seattle. You know, there's so many of them. I use one called Agile, only because my database is about 250,000, and it's on the cloud. Plug for my buddy, pipelinedeals.com. There's tons and tons of CRMs out there. They all do the similar things. So no, I chose Mo and Martin because of the size of the database and the speed of it. All right. So how do you deal with competition and pricing? So Don, competition and pricing. What sort of business are you in first, Don? Can you just pop in what sort of business you have? All right. Come back to that one. How do you stand out when everyone else is sending the same info about COVID responses? Yeah, good question on that one. Is that Sissy? Cool. Thank you. So good question. Content, right? Valuable content trumps technical content any day. All this COVID stuff is technical content. It is legislation unpacked and retold, right? It's technical content. What about other content? Giving away what you do, right? You've all got your own intellectual property. Thank you, Don. Don is an accounting firm, cool. I'll come back to that. So you've all got intellectual property and you want to get through the clutter, offer something of value, not what everyone else is doing. Everyone else is just sending out rehashed legislative, technical content. Yes, it's important, but I see the same thing from all these accounting firms all the time. But I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing a workshop, let's say, called Cash Flow in a Crisis, how to manage cash in difficult times. I'm not seeing a white paper on, here's 20 things you can do to alleviate your cash flow and manage your cash flow, right? That is far more valuable to me as a prospect or a client of yours, right? How do you move the conversation about moving to a fixed fee with a client? Interesting. A lot of my accounting firms here, Mike, right now are using this environment as a great excuse to move them to fixed fees. Bob, previously you've paid us $6,000 a year. I want to help alleviate your cash flow and make it $500 a month ongoing. How's that sound? Oh, I've got a client in Newcastle, Lauren, 100% success rate with doing just that. 100%. Moving all of our clients across to a monthly fixed fee. Don, in relation to pricing, how do you deal with competition with pricing? Well, if you've got a customer that is a price shopper, first of all, you don't want them, right? If someone leads with, can you tell me the price of that? They're leading with that because they don't know what else to ask. If you're in the, like Don, you're sitting in an accounting firm, if you're in the iReturn business, right, I can get an iReturn done, personal income tax return for those who don't know, I can get an iReturn done for $75 at H&R Block or $80. How come I've got a firm in Victoria that charges $220 for exactly the same thing and does 30,000 of them? Because they add value. They add value, add value. If you want to differentiate on pricing, on product, it's to add value, to add value, to add value. Some good questions. Let's go to the next part of minimizing, right? Minimizing time. The objective is efficiency. The objective is speed, right? If we're in the context of professional services, if we've got a fixed fee, then we want to minimize time dramatically so we can be more efficient, get more capacity. So having a good hard look at the workflow management process. Think of workflow like manufacturing. Think of manufacturing a product. When Elon Musk and the Tesla company builds the car, they don't get to the end of the line and go, damn it, there's a wheel missing. The 4 wheels are there at the station with the robot. Workflow management is all about speed and dealing with the theory of constraints. Eli Goldratt, wrote a book called The Goal many years ago about the theory of constraints on throughput and speed. If you look at throughput and speed, and this includes the sales process as well, taking the friction out. Think of constraints and friction. How can we take the friction out? What are the friction points that are stopping speed? Because we want to move it through the system as fast as possible. Client excellence coordinators. I find with professionals, particularly accountants, they spend about 2 hours a day doing administrative work associated with the accounting job. About 2 hours a day, right? So why wouldn't we hire administrative people, let's say at a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 accountants or 4 lawyers, whatever you've got, per administrator to do that work. The work still needs to be done and to free up capacity and speed, right? And those client excellence coordinators need not be where your location is. Time budgets on all jobs. Parkinson's law in 1958 stated that people fill the available time with what works they've got to do. Give someone, you've got 10 hours to do this task, and they take 10 hours. You've got 8 hours to do this task, and they take 8 hours. You've got 3 hours to do this task, and somehow they get it done in 3 hours. Having time budgets and pushing the time down, you know what it's like when you've got a deadline, right? You've got the client coming in at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and somehow by 1:30 the job is done, ready to present the client. If you didn't have that self-imposed deadline, then laissez-faire, the job gets done whenever. Having time budgets on all jobs to reduce the time and push it down. Look at the whole technology stack for your business and for your clients. Those that have technology interactions with your clients, making sure that their technology interacts with your technology. The tech these days is so good and so inexpensive that we can get speed with technology. But are you running on old systems? Are you running on hard drives? Are you running on spreadsheets? Are your clients on hard drive? Are they on servers? Have a look at the tech side of things for throughput. Systems and processes. When I go to a McDonald's, I don't go that often, but it's a good example, there's only one way to make the burger from their 30,000 stores, right? What's the one way for you? What's the best way of doing everything, and we'll do it that way? Slow people need not apply for this job, right? Our objective is speed to minimize time. Documenting, this is the fastest and best way to do this. A client of mine in Raleigh, North Carolina, his yield on his product was a CFO service, was 500 an hour. Pretty good, right? And so I challenged him and I said, Kevin, what are we going to do to make this 1,000 an hour without changing the price? So I don't know. So we'll go and look at it and look at what systems, processes are getting done that don't need to be done. 3 months later, he comes back and said, I unengineered the job. I was over-engineering the job. It's now $1,000 an hour for exactly the same price. But not only does he get $1,000 an hour, he freed up 50% of capacity as well, with one way to do it and a better way to do it. Again, back to workflow management, taking the friction out of the task. L&D, learning development, right? How much time are you actually spending, again, working on your business to learn from others around the world? What's the best way? Keep the questions coming, by the way. We'll come back to those in a tick. What's the best way to do the task? Whether it be chats on a Facebook group, whether it be hiring someone to help you, but L&D, right? And doubling down on L&D as well with the objective of minimizing time. And then I look at partner time. I look at the owner's time, what I call a 30-60-10 balance, right? I believe an owner of an accounting firm should spend no more than 30% of their time in client delivery work, but only high-end work, 60% of their time in a sales capacity, and 10% in leadership. 30% doing what the business does, 60% driving the business forward, 10% driving the business forward as well. So driving the business on 60 with sales, driving the business with leadership, management. Dan Sullivan once said runs a great business out of the US called Strategic Coach, Canada, sorry, and US term. He said, if a check can fix the problem, you don't have a problem. As in, if money can fix the problem, you don't have a problem. You think about leverage, right? Minimizing time. If you can buy in the leverage, you don't have a problem here. Let's have some questions. Got a few coming through already. So Joseph, I have very unique enterprise ecosystem IP. So do you give me part away that can seize bait in the client's thoughts? Okay, cool. So here's a phrase, Joseph, on the IP. Give away the what to do for free, charge like a wounded bull on the how to do it. Give away the what to do for free, right? So I've written 3 books, 4th one, that's all I've got for the 4th one, if you can see that, right? I haven't even got the full thing yet. It's online. Tons of IP. I give away the what to do. The secret sauce is never given away. You're going to charge for that. Our business is raising capital, preparing and selling business for SMEs. Do we give away a free consult on strategy to raise capital? You bet you do, Sissy. Raising capital, and I've raised capital before, quite a lot of it. It is hard work, and there's no textbook I see on how to do it. You know, give me a free consultation on how I can do it myself, and I'll probably hire you to actually do it for me. Martin, all about eliminating waste, non-essential work. Yeah, correct. Think of it this way, Martin. Think about waste. If you were to keep a log of everything that you do for 30 days, right? Keep a log of everything you do personally for 30 days. As the log starts repeating itself, stop keeping the log. You got the idea. Go through the list and work out what was the highest dollar productive activity in that list. Oh, look at that. I had a sales meeting with a client and brought in $10,000. Circle that one, $10,000 for an hour. What was the second highest dollar productive activity? Find that one, circle that one. What was the third highest dollar productive activity? Find that one, circle that one. Guaranteed, if you did this, that you would be spending currently, for the majority of people, about 20% of your time on high dollar productive activities, 80% of your time on low dollar productive activities. Our objective is to flip that around. A lot of the low dollar productive activities you just don't need to do. Wasting time rather than important things that grow and develop the business. So stage 3 is growing the business, right? Yeah, absolutely, Martin. Pareto principle, you bet. It goes in many, many ways. Growing the business, scaling the business to whatever size. You know, I find a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on, and they're merging or buying more of the same crap they've already got. Oh, hang on a minute. Why don't we fix what we've already got first, serve our customers better with what we've got, get a better dialed in process. Then as we pile on new customers and new revenue, it's not costing us the same GP. You know, we're actually getting a better GP on the new business because, like Kevin, for example, in his CFO service, if he was to pile on more of what he had, he'd need more labor. His GP is the same. But now, because he doubled his margin on the service, he can pile on the service, he can double his profit without any more labor. So that's why we have to fix what's going on today, minimize time. Scaling, brand development. What does your brand say about you? I believe that we're all so unique that we can be the best in the world at anything, right? But does your brand say that about you? My brand at the moment, and it's changed over the years working with one profession, is my brand ethos is I'm going to help you make more than $1 million profit per partner while you work less than 500 client hours. Everything is shaped under that brand promise. What's your brand promise to your market? Why should I pick you, in other words? Client goals. If you're in the services business, you need to understand your client goals. So many times, right? So many times I'm in a sales conversation with someone and they go straight into product. You know, what product are you looking for? And the product, I did that happen this morning, buying a new web camera, right? They didn't ask me what my goals were. What are my objectives? So if you were to document your client goals, I believe, by the way, that the action of the trusted advisor is that all clients are buying all services that they need that helps them achieve their goals. Understanding client goals and documenting those. Finding opportunities in every piece of work. You have to have an attitude, an abundance attitude, that in this piece of work, there's another piece of work, right? If you just spent the time to slow it down a little bit and to look at what's going on with that client of yours, that customer of yours, and is there another opportunity rather than racing off to the next one, the next fire, or racing off to the next phone call or whatever the hell's going on, right? Find the opportunities in current client base. Niche markets. I'm a big fan of niche markets, knowing exactly who you serve, right? There are 4 reasons to pick a niche market. Number 1, marketing is so much easier, right? Number 2, you're more useful to them. I didn't choose accounting firms chose me back in May 1994, but I've stuck there with one industry. I've been tempted many times, right? But I'm more useful to the one market because of the experience and the speed. Number 3, you're more efficient internally in your business. All your clients look the same. And number 4, as an expert in your space, you can charge premium fees for that. Niche markets. Lead generation. What active lead generation are you doing to find A-class leads? What's the process? What's the top of funnel? What goes through? And how do we pop out the end only A-class leads? And not spending any time with anyone other than A-class lead, pre-qualifying them. Don't have meetings with people, pre-qual them on the phone or Zoom. Then we might, so many times, let's have coffee. Why? Get to know each other. Let's have a Zoom call first. And the meeting might be over in 15 minutes. Productization of services. Looking at your product mix and going, okay, what products are going to be the best value for the customer and for me? And productizing that rather than customizing that all the time. Forget bespoke services. Think of productized services. Sales process and sales skills. You can learn sales, right? I've been fortunate to, a bit hard to see here, may not see it on camera, my library over here with hundreds of books and texts and videos, absorbing, I left school at 16, so I had no formal education, but I've absorbed from all I still do today, all over the world, sales process, sales skills, marketing, business. You can learn this stuff, right? But what's your sales process? What happens next? What happens next? What happens next? What happens next? What are your skills at each point? And then when it comes to scaling, where are the people? Are they onshore, offshore, or outsourced? You can outsource through Upwork.com, Freelancer, Guru, Fiverr, 99 Designs, Project. You can offshore, to the Philippines, India, wherever you choose, or you can pay for them onshore. It's entirely up to you. But look at your human capital and go, where do they need to be? Scaling your business to whatever size you want. Let's pause for some questions. We've got one here from Brett. Finding new clients is especially challenging these days with limited networking. So yeah, Brett, there's no networking going on. I presume there's some Zoom networking, but maybe you need to get active and do something different. Maybe Facebook, I believe, slashed their ad prices by 70%. LinkedIn, I put a post up on LinkedIn 2 weeks ago, just an announcement about the new book. It's had 130,000 views and counting. It's had 1,500 requests just there. Free, doesn't cost a dime, right? Forget networking for now. Active marketing. Online networking, have a great website. Absolutely, Martin. Yeah, sure. You need a great digital presence, because people are going to check you out pretty quickly. If your website looks like it was from 2016, then they're going to click off and go to someone else. Now, what does your digital presence look like? Marketing is quite straightforward if you know exactly who you're targeting. Because if you know who you're targeting, then all your messaging can be around that. Let's get our final segment, lead. Keep the questions coming through. So we've got some tactics in fix, minimize, and scale. Let's now get on to how and what we have to do to lead this business in good times and bad, right? First of all, is vision, mission, BHAG, and values. Big, hairy, audacious goals. What's your vision? What's your mission? I get it. Right now, it's hard. It's busy out there. There's messages coming everywhere. We're all at home. Doesn't mean business stops, right? It doesn't mean that you still hang on to whatever vision, because this too will pass, right? COVID will pass. We will travel again. We will have network meetings again. Brett, that will actually happen. No one knows when, but it will happen. So why don't we use this time to dream a little bit, right? You know, take out a blank sheet of paper. Take out a blank sheet of paper and ask yourself 5 questions with your blank sheet of paper being your new business. Question 1, what do I want my business life to look like? My business, I'm the owner, my life, right? Question 2, what do I want my numbers to look like? Size, shape, growth, profit, revenue, offices, people, whatever, right? Numbers. Question 3, what do I want my products and services to be? I've got a great opportunity with this blank sheet of paper. Question 4, what do I want my culture, my people to look like, how behave? And question 5, who's my ideal client who's going to work with my team in that way, who's going to buy those products at that number so that you have a great life? And you set down a painted picture of what you want this business to look like. Now, the reality is most of you already have a business, and on your piece of paper, it's got a lot of stuff going on right now. It's not a blank sheet of paper. Well, as you look at your ideal world, we're only here for a short time, folks. Maybe we need to rethink the business model altogether. What does your organizational structure look like? Who does what? Who's the CEO? Who's the business manager? Who's in charge of revenue? Who's in charge of fulfillment? And who's in charge of support? And if it's all the one person, then you've got a problem because you've got no leverage. You're 100% in this business rather than on this business. We need to have the boxes, and then we need to fill the boxes. What does your operational plan look like? I'm a big believer in one-page operational plans. 1 page. That's covering vision, mission, values, BHAG, of course. It's covering the painted picture, the 10-year plan. It's covering the numbers for 10, for 3, for 1 year. And it's covering the quarter as well. And it's covering the key projects for this quarter. And David, BHAG turned up from Jim Collins back in 2001. So it's a 20-year-old term in a book called Good to Great. If you haven't read that book, you should. Reporting and accountability. So with your team, who do they report to? How are they accountable? What are they accountable to? Are they accountable to, do they have any targets? This is not micromanaging team, by the way. This is actually holding people to account. You said you'd do this, why isn't it done? It's not their business, remember, it's yours. You are the business owner. It's your business by design, not by default. Team culture. Business by design, you design the behavior. You know, back in 2010, I think it was, or 11, I had my Annus Horribilis year of culture. And in a team of 16, I had 26 people movements, 1 year. I realized there was a problem. And I realized the fish rots from the head down. I was the problem. And what I realized was I had no documented culture. It was just as it happened, right? So on one weekend, I sat down, I wrote 15 culture statements of behavior and 15 customer service statements of behavior, internal culture, external, with clients. And I rolled those out. Rolled them out 6 a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Discussed them every single week as well. And over the next few weeks, we got them all done. And then I said, okay, that is how we're going to live by this business. That's our culture. And we fired on culture. We hired on culture. I even wrote the culture statements in the employment agreements so that if there was a breach of those, I could remove people. What's your culture all about? Team performance. You know, have you got the right people on the bus? Do they know what to do? Are they enthusiastic? Are they motivated? You know, are you providing the right environment for team performance? What's your themes and celebrations? You know, business just keeps going on and on, but how do you celebrate? You ring the bell, you know, on every sale. Love sales bells. Got a big one up the front deck, right? Every sale, ring the bell. How do you celebrate? Having a 90-day theme to actually celebrate the success of the quarter. And meeting rhythms. More meetings, stand-up meetings, Zoom meetings, short meetings, you know, weekly meetings. Some of you don't meet with your team. You just by text or Slack and email or whatever, right? Well, let's have a human experience. Zoom can be a human experience. So as we look at this, and as we take some more questions, if you've got some, please pop some in there. The objective for you as business owners is to run a great business, right? The business should be fuel for your life, not a drain on your life. The business should give you meaning, freedom, and lifestyle. But you've got to make some changes. And if you want to make some changes, then make some changes. You know, I don't know who said it, but you've probably heard it before. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? I don't know how much of that resonates with you. I hope it does. If you would like, as I said before, free copy of the new book, as you know, really free, there's no cost whatsoever. Simply go to robnixon.com/wealthy and you can get it straight away. And if you're an accountant, great, you'll get more value out of it. But if you're another professional service firm, you'll get some value out of that as well. So Martin says, it's sometimes seen as corny and too corporate, but a business manual encapsulating the above is very valuable, I reckon. Sure. Yeah, I reckon too. All right. We're going to hand back to Ian, unless there's some more questions coming through. Oh, I lost Ian there for a minute. Right, there we go. Hopefully you found that useful, team. If you did, awesome. If you didn't, well, you might have found that a bit entertaining over the last hour. All right. Have you seen the Tesla Employee Handbook? No, I haven't, Brett, but I'd love a copy. If you have one, rob@robnixon.com. I'd love to see that. Thank you. All right. So team, hopefully you found that useful. I work with accounting firms all over the world, but if you found that useful for your business, then great. It's my pleasure to give you some time today. You know, I'm doing all sorts of podcasts and webinars all over the world, and not charging for this. It's a gift. Ian asked me a couple of months ago, let's do this. And I said, yeah, sure, let's do it, right, as a little give back. So
thanks very much, Rob, and thanks for 3 months of gifting to me. It was great. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, so we're going to be publishing this on our website, and Rob's going to provide the materials that you've all looked at for you to have to go through, and we'll facilitate any conversations you want to have with Rob, obviously. Also, our partners in this will be publishing it, and it will be on the Facebook page of the Office of the Queensland Chief Entrepreneur as well. I'm just going to close with one story about how one of my companies chose their accountant. We're a startup, we've raised a load of cash, we've got no revenue. I can fully imagine all the services I have to do is adding up shit and sending it into somebody. So we went to see this mid-sized accountant expecting a large bill, and exactly what Rob told me, a breakdown that the partner charges $1,000 an hour and down to the secretary charging $100, whatever. And they said, woo, Ian, this is great, this is fantastic. You know, do they really understand? Who knows? Let me introduce you to some customers. And they did. So however much they charge, it doesn't matter to me, because they've already and continually introduced me to customers in their network, which is really interesting, I reckon. So I'd just like to finish by thanking everybody else for being here. Simon, did you want to say anything else, or shall I just close up? No, Simon's good. We'll be in contact with everybody and Rob to say thank you later on today, where we can see the video. From Andrea Anderson, well done, Ian Reynolds and team. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, have a good day, everybody. See you soon. Cheers now.